Hi, and welcome to episode 4 of the School Psych Site to Go, a companion to our School Psych Site website. These videos will offer research and practice ideas for school psychologists. In episode 4, I'm going to share a strategy to save time with MTSS. I've pasted a screenshot of the blog post from the AIR Center on Multi-Tiered Systems of Support. And this post by Allison Gilmore shares 3 ways to save time on MTSS. And I'm going to dive into a little bit, shallow dive, I guess we'll call it, into one of these strategies. I definitely recommend you check out the post for more information and examples. Most school psychologists are involved in school-based problem-solving teams, and I've seen quite a few teams engaged in individual problem-solving. And a time-saving alternative involves the use of intervention protocols. When you think of a protocol in the medical field, it's some kind of standard treatment. And in education, this would be a tier 2 or maybe an early phase tier 3 intervention. So if you think of MTSS supports on a continuum, then as we move into more intensive needs, we might collect additional information and we might provide more intensive and individualized support. And in tier 2, and even the early phases of tier 3, that doesn't have to be individualized. How many students can you think of that have some of the most common problems, like challenges with reading or challenges with attention? So let's consider how intervention protocols are different from individual problem solving and how they might help save us time. So before an individual problem solving meeting, we might collect additional information on the student. We might observe the student. We might talk to the teacher. We might do some additional informal assessment. And then we have a meeting to talk about that student. And maybe there's 5 or more people at the table, and we develop an intervention plan. We monitor progress, hopefully, and then we meet again to review the student's progress. In contrast with intervention protocols, we use data that we already have. We can have one meeting and fairly quickly decide support for each student. And then we implement those supports. And again, we can meet and review the progress of groups of students. So just in meeting time alone, we're saving time, not to mention the time that we might have to take with individual problem solving to collect additional data. Another way that intervention protocols can be more efficient and more effective is in the area of intervention fidelity. If you think about it, if you have a limited number of interventions that you're doing over and over that you try first, then we all learn them and implement them better, and student and staff benefit. Instead, if we're individualizing interventions for too many students, then it's going to tax our resources and make implementation fidelity more difficult. Here's an example from the AIR blog post with 3 ways to save time with MTSS. And if you read across, you can see that they're using data they already have, and then they have clear decision rules that tell them what to do next. So for example, in this second one, we've got a student who's below criterion in a maze passage. This is secondary level, and below criterion in oral reading fluency, and below criterion in their accuracy of oral reading fluency, and above criterion, so they're doing fine, they're above criterion for English proficiency. So the next step would be a basic skills instruction program in reading, and they're using language as an example. But then if you jump down to the 4th row as another example, this student is also below criterion in maze. They're above criterion in oral reading fluency. They're above criterion in accuracy of oral reading fluency, and above criterion for English proficiency. So in that case, they are going to get some reading comprehension strategies and they're going to use reward secondary. So you can see, like, you can use the data you have, come up with the decision rules, and then look at the interventions. And maybe there's one, or maybe there's a couple, depending on, what you've got available. But it's very nice, very clear cut, and you could see where you could make decisions on a number of students pretty quickly. So ask yourself, do we have intervention protocols for the most common challenges that we see in our school or district? Save time. Let's try to increase efficiency and improve fidelity with intervention protocols. And don't forget to check out our companion website for many useful resources. It's listed here. Thank you for listening.